What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Casual Conversation with Will and Gary.
Hello.
What episode number is this, Gary?
21.
21 it is, and it's a special one indeed, because we have our long-time pal, old Joshua Payne, with us this episode.
Lee
mate.
Payne.
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, man? I'm excited.
Good.
I am too.
Excited.
Sure.
I've had the questions for this podcast written down for a while.
A long time. Coming at you on a Wednesday night.
Whoop, whoop.
A little different time.
How was church?
Late
Will?
nighter, huh?
How was church?
It was good, man. The preacher was out of town, so we had the...
So you partied?
No. Had the assistant pastor up there. He's a little more tame.
Heck yeah, did he do a good job?
Yeah, he did a good job.
Heck yeah.
He always does a good job, but we're back at it for the late night edition.
Well,
Not really, but
Let's introduce our guest. So Joshua, tell us where you're from, a little bit about you, and introduce yourself to our audience.
My name's Josh Payne. I am from Damascus, Arkansas. Grew up with these two fine fellows over here. Pretty much just we've pretty much been friends our whole life.
Oh yeah, grew up playing baseball and all
Baseball,
that.
for sure.
Kind of
Yep,
got us all together.
Speaking of baseball, dude, I threw a baseball this weekend. My shoulder feels like it's gonna fall off.
I haven't
so bad.
I haven't thrown anything in a long time.
dude, I don't even know when the last time I threw a baseball was.
My brother's humming it. I couldn't.
He's got like the mechanical shoulder though.
Yeah, for sure.
No, so one of the big characteristics that we're going to talk with Josh about in him is he is a big time hunter. We're going to talk about, a few things, how our weeks were before that, but just give us a little taste. Give us a little taste of what hunting means to you.
Oh man, I personally would like to call myself a gamekeeper.
A game? I like that.
Gamekeeper.
Gamekeeper.
that.
Okay.
Man, I'm a hunter second, really. I like the aspect of taking care of them, feeding them, making sure they have everything they need, getting them healthy. Being a gamekeeper means to me like you can it's like what you leave behind, really. I have a farm that I hunt. It's 300 acres. I've hunted it my whole life, and the things that we've done to this land to make it better for the wildlife is what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it's not about trophy deer to me, honestly. I like taking the oldest deer, the most mature deer.
Yeah.
If one's sick, I like taking it out of the herd. I'm just thinking about their well-being mostly. I know some people can't fathom that because you're like, you're going to kill them. You're not taking care of them. You're just killing. It's not killing. It's harvesting.
It's harvesting this year's to make room for next year's productivity.
Right.
I mean, the natural cycle of life.
Exactly.
Well, that's a good introduction. We'll
that's
definitely.
a good intro. I've honestly never heard that before. A gamekeeper.
I've never heard that either.
I kind of like that better than a hunter. It sounds less.
Sure.
I mean, I figure a lot of people would like that more because it sounds less. I don't know, less harsh or violent. I guess you could say. I don't know.
Well, it's a relationship that you have with just life.
Right.
Like you're on your land that you have been on your whole time. You've cultivated food plots, I'm sure. Excuse me. You've cultivated food plots. You've spent a lot of time out there. You've spent a lot of money on game cameras to watch them. I mean, you have invested a lot of your time, money, and energy into these animals.
You're exactly
So,
right.
Yeah, man. For sure. We'll definitely
get in there. I just kind of wanted to let people know because sometimes we can talk about our weeks for a little bit.
Yeah. And we do that a lot. Or when we get going down like a tangent.
Yeah.
And waste a lot of time doing that. But anyway, we'll keep it precise and short this time. So how did your week go?
It was good, man. I worked. And then I've been doing those videos. I know I talked about that last week too, and they are just killing me. Like videos, I'm so ready to be done with these nutrition videos. I've gained a lot of value from them. I'm preparing myself to continue my education, but and honestly, like I've I've learned a lot, but I've also showed myself that I have a long way to go to be what I want to be and is knowledgeable in that specific area of health that I want to be. So
well,
it's humbling. It's humbling.
Well, that's good though. You know, at least you can realize that instead of thinking you know everything.
Exactly.
That's always a good way to look at it.
You can't ever learn if you think you know anything.
Yeah.
That's true.
I work with those people every day.
Yeah, speaking of that, Josh actually works with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's been
UPS.
I think he's been
UPS.
I think he's been a UPS man for he's gonna kill me if I don't get it right, but maybe 28 years. It's approaching 30 is all I know.
A long time. All you gotta say is a long time.
Yep. But Josh, he's fairly new, but he's been there for a while.
I wish I was getting his pay.
Yeah. Speaking of that, dude, you got to go to work in how many hours?
Oh man, probably 8 hours right now.
No, you got to be there at 3:30.
Yeah. What time is it?
What time is it? 8:30.
Yeah, almost 8 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours.
That's terrible.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I feel like this is going to be a lengthier podcast. Dude. It always is when we have
it's all good. I took me a little nap before.
We'll see how it goes.
But anyways, other than that, I kind of just picked up around the house. My dad came over. We did a little bit of yard work. You know, spring's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
I did that all week.
And today I went up and just hung out with my brother. We drove up to.
Oh, he's on spring break, huh?
Yeah, he's on spring break. I haven't seen him in a while, so I just texted him and was like, "Yo, I'm gonna come down and we're gonna go up to North Arkansas and just go on a little drive, go up on the Buffalo River and chill out for a little bit."
There you go, man.
Had a good time.
Sounds like a relaxing day.
It was nice seeing my brother.
Yeah.
But anyways, how was your week, Will?
Dude, my week was pretty good. I had an eventful weekend. I don't remember if I said last time or not. I went to my sister-in-law's wedding that I was in. Did I say that last time?
No, this was like right before you hadn't went to the wedding yet.
Yeah. Oh no, we did. We talked about that last episode. I just haven't put that episode out yet.
Oh yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, because Will's like way behind.
I'm not way behind anymore, son. I'm gonna put one up this weekend, and then this one will be up Monday. Yeah,
Monday.
But no, man, it was good. It was in Hot Springs. It was at this old, like, I don't know, I think it was an old car dealership, but it was like inside old school, big stone building, and you know, very pretty and stuff. It had like a little outdoor garden patio area, and that's where they had the wedding at. It was beautiful, man. It was a beautiful time, beautiful people, and I was just glad I got to be a part of it. You know, it was
a beautiful
awesome
moment.
It was a beautiful moment, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They've been together a while, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they've been together. I don't know. Probably
a long time. Just say a long time.
She's gonna kill me if I don't get this right. A long time. So yeah. Other than that, though, came back on. Oh, I forgot. Me and Paxton went to.
I didn't even know about this.
What are you talking about?
I'm assuming that y'all sent this in the group message. I just
I don't remember. But
I just don't pay attention to that.
Me and Paxton, our buddy that's been on the podcast before, on Sunday we drove to Fort Worth, Texas, and went and watched a Call of Duty World League tournament.
Don't lie. Y'all went to the stockyards in Fort Worth, didn't you?
No, we didn't go to the stockyards.
Go get you a big old steak.
No, dude. No kidding. We went to it was a Call of Duty tournament. Our buddy Chris and his wife live up there, so we went and hung out with them Sunday night, St. Patty's Day. You know, watched the tournament and then came back on Monday. It was a good time though, man.
You got a little wild child, didn't you?
No,
St. Patty's Day.
No, we didn't get a little wild child. Dude, Fort Worth was actually like super laid back. Like, you know, it's only 30 minutes from Dallas, but it really wasn't even wild at all. It was kind of relaxing, to be honest. It was kind of like a little peaceful stay, I guess you could say. But
good, dude.
Yeah.
No, it was cool. But the Call of Duty tournament was cool. I wouldn't want to go one of those for a long time.
Gaming is taking over the world. It's like a sport, man.
Take a guess. Okay, there's 5 people on.
Get outside.
Yeah, says the gamekeeper.
No kidding though. Each team has 5 players on it, and guess how much money the winning team got?
Oh,
for winning the tournament, it was like a big prize pool. But.
So was it at like one of the bigger tournaments in the nation?
I mean, yeah. There's only.
So I would say
one of the bigger
$5,000 to $10,000.
I'm gonna say 20 grand.
The whole team together got like $325,000.
Oh my gosh.
So divide that by 5. That's like a little over 60 something thousand.
That's a year's worth of pay, man.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude.
Dude, but that blows my mind because if they're getting paid that much money, I mean, they're economically probably worth that. Like they're pulling in that much money.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there was thousands and thousands of people at this venue, and it's $60 for a weekend pass. So they're raking in a ton of money. You know what I mean?
That just blows my mind, man.
And they're bringing in a lot of people to the area. You know, people are going out eating in restaurants and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's cool. I'm glad, dude. You never do anything. You had
I know,
you had
dude.
a more eventful week than I did.
I know, dude. I usually a stump or a bump on a log. I don't really do much, but
Well, I'm glad you
was a fun
got
time,
out of
man.
your shell a little
dude.
bit.
yeah.
How was your week, Josh?
Yeah, what'd you do this week, Josh?
Man, it's been pretty good. I had Monday off after UPS, so I worked UPS from about 3:30 in the morning till about 8:30, and I had Monday after UPS off my second job, and my girlfriend, it was her last day before she left for New Orleans, so I got to spend time with her, and then I spent that evening raking leaves, man.
Raking leaves, doing yard
Golly.
work.
Dude.
I needed to do it bad. Still got a bigger pile.
Dude, yeah, ain't lying. My yard looks terrible. It's got those little green, or no, not green, those purple flowers sticking up. They're like 3-4 inches tall.
Stinkweed and,
Yeah,
and
green onions.
Yeah,
Green onions.
That's I had to mow those. It looks so much better now. But getting the pool back in shape.
Oh, yeah,
it
baby.
It looked like a pond, but now she's clearing
A
up.
little stale.
Yeah. What else? Just working, man.
Yeah, Josh is a very, very busy individual.
Yeah,
He
for
works
sure.
a lot, but hey, you work hard and you play hard too,
You
right?
Dang right, dude. I work hard to support all my hobbies. I got a bunch of them.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Me and Josh, we were talking before the podcast. He's going to be a professional fisherman one day. I believe him.
I believe that for sure.
I did go fishing yesterday evening too. Me and my buddy trying to find some for this weekend. We got a tournament, so
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Sweet, dude.
Well, let's dive into this. You've already kind of told what hunting what game keeping means to you. Let's talk about the difference between bow hunting and modern gun. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Man, I started out just like any other kid, really. I was using a rifle, modern gun. I've taken a lot of animals with them, and I still use a muzzleloader every once in a while. But muzzleloader, you still have to get, for my comfort zone with the muzzleloader, 80 yards in. That's my comfort zone. A lot of people shoot them way farther, but that's not me. I mostly bow hunt. I mean, that's all I do for whitetail deer. Turkey hunting, I use a shotgun. Duck hunting, that'd be tough to use a bow, but it can be done. But
That'd be pretty sweet though if you could.
yeah, I've
shoot a duck out of the air.
always wanted to try it at least. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be any good at it. But, bow hunting, man, getting that animal, getting a mature animal. I mean, that close to you, it's something in itself.
So what you said your comfort zone with a muzzleloader is 80 yards. What's your comfort zone with a bow?
My comfort zone with a bow would be about 45 in. So
Okay.
I mean, that's
So
honestly
that's
pretty close.
Less
though.
than
Well,
half a
I
football
mean-
field.
oh yeah.
I mean, I say close. When you're actually out there probably shooting it seems like a long
Oh,
way.
it
but-
does for sure. Man, you got to practice a lot. I've practiced a lot, and I wish that I practiced more than I do. You owe it to that animal to make the best shot you can.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
I've-
with a bow, I mean, how fast do they go down if you make that shot?
a well placed shot. I mean, it's a few seconds,
yeah.
and it's over.
Yeah.
And that's what you owe to the animal if you're going to take his life. I mean, if you're hunting, if you hunt long enough, you're going to make a bad shot, and you're going to have to, follow it up. That's just part of being an outdoorsman. You gotta know how to deal with the situation.
Yeah.
You just can't go out there. I mean, there's a lot of people go out there, and if they see a deer 300 yards, they got their rifle, they're shooting everything they have. You know, they're shooting 5 times, and they don't know what really.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, I've spent the last 4.5 years in college in the nutrition field. There's a lot of people that are vegan and vegetarian. They're like anti-hunting that I'm around, and I feel like they look at people like what you're talking about that are going to take a 300-yard shot with no consideration for the animal. Right. They see that, and then they just assume that all hunters are like that.
Right. That's not how it is. I mean, that's how all people that aren't really educated over it, that's what they believe. You know, when they think about hunter, they think about, you know, this dude up in the deer stand drinking beer, you know, shooting at everything he sees, you know, everything that walks. And that's, I mean, you know, you do have those people, but
yeah, you're gonna have bad apples.
It's kind of like that and everything.
I mean,
though. You're gonna have some people that, you know, don't have any etiquette or any morals about what they're doing. So
and that's why I feel like it's a good thing you're on this podcast. We have people that I know listen to this podcast that do have a skewed outlook on what hunting actually is because of the bad apples. And it's gamekeepers like you that really do respect the craft and respect the animal
for sure,
and have that connection with it.
Yeah, I just can't really explain what it means to me. I've grown up in it, and I have a lot to owe to TV shows. When I was younger, watching Mossy Oak and Realtree, like the founders, and just knowing the roots of how they got started and what they believed in, and you know, they have their own biologists and show you the best ways. And I do a lot of reading up on it, and I try to what I can afford right now. It's very expensive to be a gamekeeper. I mean, and knowing what's best for your property, what's best for your animals. Knowing the ratio it needs to be to have successful hunts, and I'm not talking about taking a deer every time. Man, I have so many successful hunts where I just go out and watch. If I'm after a particular deer and he walks out there right at dark, I'm probably not going to take the shot, especially if I've got a marginal shot. I'd rather watch that deer. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a deer stand for an hour after dark, because right at dark, deer just surround me, and I'm just, you know, sitting there. They're walking all underneath me. Got a full moon, man. You're sitting down there, and they're eating acorns right below you. There's no, if you haven't ever experienced something like that, then it's something you don't have to hunt them. Just, you know, go.
Yeah.
Find somebody that you know, go sit in a tree stand with them, and even if you don't see anything, just enjoy the outdoors, man. I've seen so many sunrises and sunsets, and it's each one of them are special to me, and that's what drives me, you know.
Yeah. I've heard this. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. He's a big time hunter, makes films for hunting to kind of show people what hunting is actually about. And he said that he took these photographers out with him in Colorado. I think it's Colorado or Utah, one of the two, and they were basically like anti-hunters, and he had to just basically beg them to come with him. Well, they got out there, and they didn't end up killing an animal, but he got up on an elk that was like maybe 30 yards away, and it bugled. And those photographers after that, they were like, we want to go back hunting with you. It's just people that don't walk the ground out in the wild. You can't really comment on the ground because you haven't been there. Experience is king.
Exactly.
You know? You can read all of these groups that hate on hunting, but if you haven't actually went out and experienced it, there's not much weight to what you're saying or what you believe.
Right, and you got to have an open mind. I mean, you go out there knowing that you're going to think about it in a certain way. You're never going to learn anything. You know, you got to have an open mind about everything. That's one of the major flaws And today, everybody's just set in their ways. They
That's
don't want to
true.
learn anything.
That's true. It's not even with hunting. It's like that with societal issues and economics and political stuff. Everybody has their own specific opinion, and they never take the time to think about anybody else's
or look at it from a different perspective. Just
Yeah.
like me and Will have talked about this several times. You don't have to hang on to or believe something that you entertain. Just entertain it. And if you don't agree with it after you've thought about it, just let it go.
Yeah, we say your brain's like a big computer.
Mm-hmm.
It can take in something, process it, register it, and then if you don't agree with it or you don't believe what has been said, then you just spit it back out.
Yeah,
Spit it back out into the
like an electrical wire. It's a current moving through. Let it go on through.
Right.
Yeah.
You retain what you want.
Yeah.
It's cool what you're saying though, because Josh has been trying to get me to go hunting with him forever.
I have, man. I've asked him. It's
turned
into a joke.
Yeah, it turned into a joke.
It'll happen one day.
Dude, but like, no kidding, now I kind of want to go.
Man, I'll take you.
But the thing is, here's the thing. I don't want to go with a rifle. I want to use a bow. But I've shot a bow like one time in my whole life, so I couldn't even hit anything. Right. I don't have one, you know what I mean? I don't have a place to practice.
That's the thing, man, is you'd have to practice.
Yeah, but like if I go though, I want to experience like the whole encompassing thing of hunting. Like I want to feel like we're primal. Not necessarily primal because you have nice equipment, but like
wear a loincloth out there.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Like back in the old days,
I've got an extra one.
Like get the feel of what's going on. Like get in tune with the.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like and I'm not even against hunting or anything. I just feel like it's more. I say ethical more. It would give you a better experience if you used a bow rather than
for sure,
a
man.
rifle.
It really shows you. Man, it just shows you what it's all about to me. I mean, it's you get to see.
It makes you really work for it.
Yeah, you got to work for it. I mean, nothing comes easy.
And I'm not saying that being a marksman with a rifle, that's a gregreat accomplishment
for sure
in itself.
Oh yeah, it's very lethal. I mean, my dad hunts with a rifle mostly, and he's a pretty good shot. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's very successful too, but that's just not my way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his way. I mean, you can have your own way.
So going back to you talking about Will, you talking about you never shooting a bow, and you wanted to do that, but if you got out there, I mean, you wouldn't be able to take the animal down quickly, more than likely because you haven't shot it.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask Josh, like, when you do, first of all, this is just kind of a two-part question. First of all, do you remember the first time you drew back a bow on a deer out in the wild and you let it go? And the second part of this question is like, what is that feeling like when you've put all this time in shooting a bow, practicing, you finally get in that moment and your mind has got all of these chemicals going in it because you've got so much adrenaline rushing through your body from what you're about to do. So
yes, I do remember the first time I took a deer with a bow, and I was ecstatic. I mean, it was actually right behind the mobile home that I grew up in. I mean, it was like 40 yards back there. We had a little deer stand, and it was a doe, and the guy that cut our hay, he was actually in the field right next to me, man. I could see his tractor when he come around the edge of the field. I mean, he was cutting hay. And we had a nice little food plot right by the creek, and it was early. I just went and climbed up in the tree after school, and I'd been hard after it. It was my first bow, just got it. It was early bow season, and I wanted to harvest a deer. And that's when the fire struck in me, which I used a crossbow before. This is my first compound bow. Crossbow, it's good for certain people, but if you're able, compound bow is
way to go.
Is the way to go. Anyways, I just happened to look down, and she was standing right below me, and it was early. I'd probably been in the stand for 10 minutes, and she was just feeding on acorns and stuff. And she walked out there in the food plot, and man, I was shaking like a leaf.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lord, please let this all come together, please. And she walked out there, 15 yards, and I stood up, and there was another one behind me, and I kind of heard it stomping around. The one out there right in front of me, the one I ended up taking, she looked straight up at me, dude, and I was stone cold.
Steve Austin.
Yeah, Steve Austin. Yeah, dude, I was still. It seemed like an eternity, but it was probably only like a minute or two.
Yeah.
But I was just froze, and she finally calmed down. They both calmed down. The other one walked right underneath me. She kind of looked up towards the tractor come around the edge of the other field, and she just kind of looked up there, and that's when I checked and made sure the other deer wasn't looking at me as well, and I drew back and took a shot, and she didn't go 5 yards, and I was pumped. I was ecstatic. Called my dad, told him all about it, and it was a great deal.
I can kind of feel it coming off of you right now. That's awesome.
Dude, I like what you said. How you said harvest it, not just kill it, because you're harvesting it for something other than
man,
just.
I love deer meat. I love it so much. I've got probably 130 pounds of deer meat in my fridge right now. So and I don't have to go to the grocery store for it, and it's my favorite.
Being because I've mentioned this before on the podcast.
I was about to say, give us some facts about some lean venison, Gary.
And you know that I'm going to do dietetics.
For sure.
That is because I've talked to you before about I want to get more into hunting. I've hunted. I grew up and was definitely not as into it as what I would say I wouldn't have considered myself necessarily a hunter, but I was familiar with it.
You enjoyed it.
But when I kind of got exposed to the idea of harvesting as opposed to just killing and getting like growing close to like a wild animal like you have on your land and everything, when that idea was exposed to me, man, I was like, I want to harvest my own deer to provide myself with lean protein, because that is the most organic lean protein. When you kill a deer and you take it off, like you hang it up, skin it, put it in the freezer, like you have such a deeper connection than if you go to the grocery store and buy a pound of ground beef. Like there's memories associated when you take that out of the freezer, the 130 pounds that you've got, when you take one of the whatever back straps out a couple months down the road, you're going to remember
there's
that hunt,
For sure.
You've got that connection with your food, and to me, that's a big deal. Not
only that hunt, if you have the privilege like I do, I grew up on a farm, around our hometown, family farm, and man, I have a history with these deer. I watched them for years since they were small, since I could recognize their rack. From year to year, I'm like, okay, that was him last year. Okay, I kind of know the age structure, and I got a name for him, and I found his sheds from last year. It's the history with those deer. When I I go out there and I see this bachelor group of young bucks, and in early season see this big group of young bucks. Man, he's gonna be something. And I also I feed them year round minerals and stuff, to help their bodies out, but also help their horns out. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm not a trophy hunter, but I just want to shoot a mature deer.
Yeah.
And that's does too. I mean, you have to keep the ratio of your does and bucks in a certain way.
Yeah.
Because if you have too many does, when it comes to the rut, when they're, thinking about breeding, if you have too many does and you got say if you have 10 bucks and then you got 40 does, you're never going to see those bucks during that time. You got 40 does running around there, and you got plenty for them to choose from.
Yeah.
It's not the one that walks out in your food plot. They don't have to come out there. They can stay in their woods close to their home core, and get whatever they want, So you have to, there's definitely strategies to it, but that's not only strategies for killing us, strategies for
preserving
them, yes, and say I've got our property, and what we plant for them, what we grow for them, can only hold this amount of deer.
Oh yeah.
So it's getting over, it's getting overgrazed or whatever, which we have so many deer around our farm. It's unreal. Like, it's nothing to go out there at night or this time of year. You go out in the field at even, see 70, 80 deer.
Wow.
I mean, our land, it butts up to Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing but woods.
Very
pretty
rural.
Much for long ways.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're the best source of food plot. That's pretty much all our field is field. Did I say
your field is a food plot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all our farm is fields.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we plant probably 9 acres of food plot.
Dang.
And that'll hold, a good amount of deer. But, I mean, it's just like a golf course when you go out there. They just have it mowed down.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
dude, that's a ton of them. I think people sometimes forget, too, that you can correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but, like, every year, isn't there a different number of deer that you can kill in a certain season?
Well, they do change it around. All the big bug states have what's called CWD pretty much. Arkansas's had it for a while too.
Chronic wasting
disease, yes. And that's it's kind of been a big thing, for the Arkansas Game and Fish these past couple of years. And there's certain zones, say if they find a case of CWD, within 10 miles of that, you can't it's the CWD zone. So
they find a deer with CWD within 10 miles or a 10-mile radius.
And in 10 miles of that, you have certain regulations that you have to go by.
And so how would you find out where a CWD zone would be?
You get on your phone and look. You can go to Walmart and get 2019 or whatever.
So the Arkansas Game and Fish?
Arkansas Game and Fish, yes.
Okay.
Just agfc.com, and you can find season dates and bag limits. That's what you go under to find that. But
okay,
they have restriction on that. The main thing I think they're worried about is their elk. Elk were native to here a long time ago, but they kind of went extinct around this area, and they introduced them. I can't remember what year it is.
Yeah, I go up to Boxley and Ponca and see them very regular.
Right,
they're up there.
And if I don't know if you knew this, but elk, if they have zones too that are elk zones, which you have to get a permit for in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But if you have an elk that's not in the elk zone that they're known to be in, then you can take that animal and use a deer tag on it.
Wait. If an elk is found in a non-elk zone.
So if I had a picture in 2009 of a cow elk in Damascus, and that's not an elk zone.
So you could have taken.
I could have taken her.
Wow.
And used a deer tag.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking, like, you were talking about how many deer you had on your farm and stuff, but how many a year, or how many deer per year can you harvest? Like that rhyme?
You can harvest 6.
6? Okay.
6.
See,
but 2 of those have to be in a different county from where you check in the majority of your deer.
okay, see, that's what I was trying to get at, though, was that when people talk about hunting and how all these negative connotations to it, it's not like people are just going out there and just killing animals left and right. You know what I mean? If you do it with etiquette and the right way, there's only a certain amount that you can kill that will help increase the population in due time. You know what I'm saying?
I've never shot that many deer in one season.
Yeah,
I've never shot 6 deer in one season.
yeah.
There's been several years where I go and I have opportunities to, but just doesn't work out. There's been several years where I just pretty much eat a tag sandwich. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't anything, which I'm totally fine with that, man. I mean, like I said, the best hunts I go on are when I don't take anything.
Yeah. Well, something that you mentioned a little bit back was that you said something about trophy hunting, and some people get a bad idea and they have a negative connotation around trophy hunting. So what is trophy hunting to you? Because I don't think that you can take an animal like that and not have it as a trophy. I think it would almost be insulting to the animal for it not to be a trophy. It's like you look back on it and it's like, yeah, it's a trophy, but that trophy, for example, I have trophies for winning baseball games. I look at those and I'm like, that brings me back to the memory of that time.
For sure.
For example, if you put a deer or an elk up on the wall, you look at that and you have that connection. You look back, you remember that time. It's almost like paying respect to that animal. You know what I'm saying?
You're exactly right. A trophy is whatever it is to you. I mean, what's a trophy to me might not be a trophy to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just whatever your goal is. Like if you, one thing I love doing is taking kids out and hunting. Man, it's amazing, especially turkey hunting. Which turkey season? I was gonna say this a while ago. Turkey season is coming up pretty quick. It starts April 8th here in Arkansas. It only goes 2 weeks. I'd love to take both of y'all and just experience a spring morning and hopefully a turkey gobbling and just.
Bro, I'll go with
Dude, I'll go. I won't do anything. I'll just sit there.
I'm telling you,
I'll do that for sure.
It's something. It's special. Anyways, it's like I said. I mean, a trophy. Like you take a young kid out there, whatever. The first deer that walks out, if they are uncontrollably excited, they want to harvest that animal, everything's lining up right, then that's a trophy right there, just because of the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it's not about the harvest. It's not it's not about how many you kill. It's not making piles. You see all these people that's just they're excited. What gets them excited is the number game, the inches game. They're just excited about the biggest and the most they can.
Yeah, it's almost like a competition.
Yeah, just a competition.
Yeah. When it should be like a personal thing.
Right. I mean, man, I duck hunt too. And I duck hunt mostly private or public land. And it's been tough these past couple of seasons, and it just makes you appreciate the good hunts that much more. I mean, you got these people that can afford all this stuff, and they can't really take it for what it is.
Yeah, you mean like afford like going on these like guided hunts where you're almost
you're guaranteed.
Sure, yeah,
you're guaranteed.
Yeah,
and some people they do. They can they take it for what it's worth, but it's just not all about the numbers and
yeah.
We're
gonna drive that point home.
Yeah. I kind of like what you said earlier. Was you kept saying how you wanted to harvest a mature deer, so that means just like an older one, more developed, right?
Right.
So I mean, in theory, if you're harvesting mature deer, then they're gonna have a bigger rack anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's not just. So even though you still have etiquette and you're using a moral that you want to harvest a mature deer, it's still going to pay off for you anyway, because it's probably going to have a bigger rack than, you know, say a younger one would anyway. Which is what me and Gary have talked about before, is that we can use playing guitar, Gary. You don't want to learn guitar just so you can go show off to everyone. You know, it's a process. You've been practicing and learning, and you know, by doing all that, you are going to get really good. You're going to get better. You're going to get the reward or the trophy of you being a really good guitar player. But you didn't set out to do that. You didn't start your whole guitar journey by saying, I want to be super good at guitar just to show off. You know, but just by, you know, going through the process,
it'll happen.
It will happen, which is kind of what you're saying. You know, you want a mature deer, you wait for that mature deer. You know, you feed them, you get them healthy, you watch them grow, and then eventually you'll get that trophy in return just by, you know, completing the process. So
you have to set your goals and achieve them. I mean,
for sure. Hey, we're all about that, man.
Yeah, man. No, I
So,
thought that was cool.
There's this separation that I want you to clarify. There's a separation between hunting and wildlife preservation. I believe, and I mean, this is supported, and you can ask our government, that's why we have the hunting system the way that we do. Hunting and wildlife preservation are one and the same.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It all falls under gamekeeper.
Yeah. So I want you to give us a little something on a hunter's role in wildlife preservation.
A hunter's role, first off, you got to buy your tags. You got to be legal, man. That money, percentage of it goes to the wildlife in your state. It goes to the public land, WMAs. It goes to the lakes. Yeah, I mean, your biologists in your state get a percentage of that money, and they do what they see fit for certain areas of the state.
Oh, that's cool. So, like, local biologists get money to do research about the animal. Okay.
They do research. They get in there. They figure out what that area needs to make it better.
Okay. So, like, for example, like you were talking about, like, planting food plots, minerals, trees, stuff like that.
Right.
Or, like, if you say you had a lake that was kind of, I don't know, polluted or whatever, could you put minerals and stuff in there to make the water cleaner and whatnot?
Take measures.
Take measures, yeah.
You can put different types of fish in there. Like,
Okay, yeah.
if you have a real dirty lake, like, you can put more carp in there because they can keep it clean. And they see what areas need certain restrictions. Like, okay, on this WMA, hunters only are going to be allowed to take one
Wildlife
deer.
management area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can only hunter can only take one deer here.
Okay.
This area over here is permit only, which you have to apply for a permit
Yeah.
and hopefully get one, and then you can go harvest your one animal. A lot of the WMAs, they have a rifle season, which is draw only, so you have to draw for that, and it's only on like certain days.
So when you say draw, like you go into a drawing and you get
Right.
drawn to actually, so you don't even know if you're gonna. It's just random.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so they regulate it how they see fit.
Yeah.
And you got to trust them, and you got to invest in your wildlife. I mean, you can donate to Arkansas Game and Fish, which I'm not financial. You know, I can't do that right now, which I will when I'm.
But
when
you
I'm
buy
able
your
to.
tags. You,
For sure,
you
yes.
contribute how you need to.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the smallest amount, just by doing what's right and buying the tags, I mean, that's helping out some.
Exactly.
I just wanted you to shine a light that the hunters and really just the people that are over like the national wildlife stuff are the biggest contributors to
For sure.
wildlife preservation.
Man, you have to, even if you don't hunt and you care for animals, I urge you to at least, you wouldn't be wasting your money if you invested in some way. Because we're losing ground every day for wildlife. I mean, it's just, and you can't make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of like all spirals back into each other because you have this thought that hunting is bad nowadays. So therefore you have less hunters. So you have less tags being bought. You have less money being, given and donated to these wildlife researchers for them to do what they need to do. So, I mean, so really by advocating against hunting, them trying to help the wildlife, they're actually hurting it.
For sure. And you're hurting your ecosystem, and you're hurting your plants, and
you
cannot have, if you go out in the woods and you see the most lively area, you just sit there and watch it. There's wildlife everywhere. You cannot have a perfect environment without your wildlife. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
and call it hippy dippy, call it whatever you want, man. But a healthy ecosystem, we're all connected.
for sure.
Like
yeah.
everything goes and is a cycle and a process that helps another process and cycle, and we as humans are involved in that.
We are at the top of the food chain.
Exactly.
We're
the gamekeepers.
Yes, you
We're
have
the
to do
ones-
it.
We're the ones that have the mind.
If you don't, you're going to lose it.
It's a circle of life, man. That's why you have deer eating plants that maybe aren't necessarily good for that specific environment. You got snakes eating, rats that could, come into people's houses and stuff.
Spread disease.
Spread
Spread
disease.
disease, man.
I mean, it's just the way it goes, man. It's a circle of life. You can't be taking out all these animals and then.
So on the same, go ahead, Josh.
That's another thing. CWD, that's Mother Nature, man. You can regulate it a little bit. I understand. I mean, I don't understand this. Okay, Arkansas Game and Fish, they found out a deer or elk tested positive for CWD. Okay, so they go out and they kill 600 deer so they can test them around that area. Out of the 600 deer, I think that there was like, I don't know. I don't want to be lying on this, but there was.
Was there a small or a large number?
Small number. I'm talking like 6 deer
Okay.
that had CWD.
So like 1%.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, very minimal amount. And
So what was their action to that? Like, what did they do to that?
I just don't. I think they're trying to protect their elk. Arkansas has an abundant deer population.
Oh yeah,
but
bunch of whitetail.
we don't have a lot of elk. I mean, that's one thing they're trying to
Bring
keep
back.
growing. Yes, to this area, and I think that's what scared them a little bit, which I understand, but
Gotta let nature run its course.
right, man, that's Mother Nature. She's going to do what she sees fit. There's not enough deer being taken here, so that's what has, that's.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
brutal.
feel you,
It's
man.
a brutal way to go. I mean, would you rather see a deer suffering? Hitting it on the highway.
Them
Instead of-
starving.
yeah, instead of somebody.
Shooting a bow and killing a deer.
Honoring-
one arrow, one deer.
Honoring that animal for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
What? I had a
that.
question about CWD. So, does a deer just eventually die once they get the disease?
Yes, it's a slow, painful death.
And say you shot a deer that had that, could you harvest the meat off of it or no?
Yes, you can. As of right now, there has been no
Crossover.
been no crossover between humans and deer. There's been no person get anything from
Okay.
CWD.
So even though you say you shot a deer that had that and you ate the meat, you wouldn't.
It depends on how far along the process is. If you see this deer and they normally die around water when they're sick like that, and they'll be lame, jawed up. I mean, bad shape.
They'll look bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen some pictures.
It's terrible. I mean, slow, painful death.
Yeah. So, I mean, in reality, though, once they have that, you would want to harvest them before you found them dead.
For sure.
Even if
If
it was-
you
you know
see
what I
an
mean?
animal that you think's sick, you need to do what you can. If you wound an animal, I mean, if you hunt, you're going to wound an animal. I've done it, and I mean, not proud about it, but it happens. Certain
It's not like
things
you
happen.
meant to. I mean,
No, exactly.
yeah.
But then you make it your goal to end it how it should be. I mean, you know, honor that animal and still pursue it, and don't let it, you know, as long as it's still around for the taking, you need to take it. You need to finish what you started.
Yeah. So I kind of get what you're saying about that.
So on kind of the same vein, just kind of promoting hunters being a very, very good thing for America, and really just the planet. There's an organization called Hunters for the Hungry, and this is a statistic I looked up. The Hunters for the Hungry are basically people that they'll go out and kill an animal. Maybe they have a surplus of food, especially like Ted Nugent. I mean, he kills so many animals that he donate. He can't eat all that meat, so he donates the meat to Hunters for the Hungry. And listen to this number: 250 million meals a year come from Hunters for the Hungry that are given out to people that need food.
That's amazing.
That would not otherwise happen if we weren't hunting.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So going back to what we were talking about, would you rather have a deer starve or die to disease, whether it be chronic wasting or whatever, get hit on the highway? Or would you rather harvest the animal, either eat it yourself and provide it for your family, or donate it to a family that needs food?
Yeah, for real.
You're exactly right.
So it's just the process of life, man.
For sure.
That's crazy though. Like you probably know this, Josh. You obviously don't get. Say you kill a deer and it weighs 300 pounds. You don't get 300 pounds of meat. We obviously know that. But say you kill a mature buck or a mature doe like you were talking about. What would be the average amount of meat or food you would get from that?
Okay, this past season, one of the bucks that I took, he field dressed at around 200 pounds.
Okay.
What does field dress mean for those who don't know?
I mean,
skinned and stuff?
Gutted,
entrails out?
Gutted and,
yeah, okay.
And, you know, cleaned up and without any of the meat taken off of him.
Okay, so basically like when you see a chicken at the store, like a rotisserie chicken at the store.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Okay, I got you. Just
all cleaned up, prepped up, ready to take the meat off of them and process it the way you want it. And I think, just the shoulders and then the hams. Just the shoulders and the hams, I got like 40 pounds of meat off of them.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of food.
And I like it ground up into 1 pound blocks and add a little bit of fat in there from the deer's fat. It makes it cook up that much better. And that's the best way to go, man. Use it in tacos, spaghetti, you know, in place of
chili.
In place of hamburger meat.
Dude, think about that though. Think about how much it would cost to go down to the store and buy 40 pounds of ground beef.
That's
a ton.
Here's a nutrition perspective for that. So beef, as opposed to venison, beef has 5 ounces of fat in it, whereas if you took an ounce of beef and an ounce of venison, there would be 5 ounces of fat in the beef and 1 ounce of fat in the venison. Very lean meat.
So the venison's like 1-to-1 ratio.
Well, basically, the beef has 5 times more fat.
Yeah, so beef would be 5-to-1 and the venison 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So it's a lean, organic source of protein, man.
That's a bunch of meat, though. How much does it cost, though, to take it and get it processed?
We used to do it ourselves, man, and it's a process. It takes a lot of time, which I don't mind doing it, but
it's just getting the time.
So busy, man, and that's excuse. That's everybody's excuse. Is you're so busy, shouldn't you need to make time, whatever. Sometimes you just don't have time.
Yeah,
and I'll take deer up to processing plant above Clinton, and it cost I think it depends on what you want. Really, you can get
Say
sausage.
Well, how much did it cost? Say what you just talked about.
It was like $50.
$50.
Yeah.
And I could go to Walmart right now and get a pound of the ground beef I get would be $5
For how much?
for 1 pound.
For 1 pound. Wow.
So if you got 40 pounds at $5 a piece, you'd have $200. Is that it? Is that right?
I don't know.
Math.
Will's the mathematician.
No,
he's in school.
Dude, somebody's roasting me so hard right now because I got that wrong. Hang on. I'm actually gonna check that.
You do that, Will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanna talk. You look up your math equation.
Yeah, so you save $150 by doing that.
100
Just from one animal, if you got the equivalent amount of meat.
And the peace of mind of knowing where it come from.
Yeah.
And just so many other things on top of that.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy. Anyway, go ahead, Gary.
what I wanted to say, because a big issue that some people, I'm just pointing out issues that people have, and I'm just wanting to bring the truth to the light.
Right.
So one issue that I've heard people talk about is that they just can't get over the fact that they're killing the animal. And we've talked about this, and we've talked about how it's a natural cycle throughout this podcast. But if you do not think that your soybeans or whatever in the fields that they spray pesticides all over, and whatever that doesn't kill, they're going to till up the ground and kill all the ground squirrels, groundhog, everything, to obliterate all life for that piece of land, and then that's what's going to grow your soybeans, as opposed to a hunter taking one life with one arrow or one bullet.
Yeah, dude. And people just they just take bigger animals. They think that bigger animals are more of an animal than a small one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you were talking about ground squirrels,
Groundhog,
prairie dogs,
yeah.
stuff like that. They don't
Prairie dogs.
Dude,
Timon and Pumbaa. Prairie dogs.
Prairie dogs, corn dogs, chili dogs. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying is they see deer or bigger animals as more of an animal than a small one.
Yeah.
So they make an argument against hunting deer or larger game instead of even considering the small ones.
It's a majestic animal that we have seen in Disney movies like Bambi, that we have just like, oh, these sweet little deer, and you don't have that same connection with a squirrel.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Or an insect.
Well,
I mean, an insect is still alive.
A life is a life, man.
And so is a plant, just because it doesn't have a heart.
Exactly.
Plants are alive. It's true.
Yeah.
We're call it hippie. We're all connected.
Yeah, man.
We say a lot of stuff that people would call hippie.
Yeah.
Man, that's. I'm really glad that we did this. I wanted to show people that hunting is not. Which there are, like I said, there's bad apples. There's going to be people that are going to ride around town with a freaking deer strapped to their hood.
Yeah. Hey man, some people, that's the only way they can haul it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But hunting is such a deeper thing than, like you said, the numbers game.
It's like another hippie deal. It's very spiritual.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I just can't explain it, man.
You can't put spirit. We talked about this last podcast. You can't put spirituality and love for something into words.
Right, you're exactly
It has to be
right.
expressed
By
by
experience.
either experience or doing so.
Which is experience.
That's spot on for sure.
So I was going to ask you though, Josh. We talked about all different kinds of hunting and what they mean to you. But if you had to pick one type of hunting to do, you couldn't pick another one. What would it be? Turkey hunting, deer hunting, duck hunting, whatever. I guess what I'm asking is what's your favorite one to do?
Man, deer hunting. I have the opportunity to do more with my deer herd, and I spend a lot of time with them. And my girlfriend, calls them my babies.
Yeah.
She really does. Like, I go out there and I'm like doing my food plots and checking trail cameras, on weekends. And she's like, "You gonna go take care of your babies?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, and
So deer hunting.
deer hunting, man, it's for sure.
Well, we've talked a lot about hunting. I think we've put the nail in the coffin on that. But I wanna just talk a little bit before we go about, unless you have any more questions about hunting, Will. Do you have any more?
Let's see what we got. Favorite kind. Well, this might lead into something you were gonna talk about, Gary. It kind of strays away from hunting. Is that I was gonna ask how many places you've been hunting all across the United States. So you're not just, harvesting animals, you're getting to see the countryside, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're getting to branch
For
out.
sure,
and see.
man. I haven't been out of state or out of this country near as much as I want to be. I plan on several big game adventures in my future.
Yeah.
For sure, man. I have goals, and one of them, I don't know what it is, maybe a death wish, but I want to kill a grizzly, harvest a grizzly with my bow before my time's up.
Dude.
That may be my time right there, but
Dude.
dude, golly, there's just something about it, and it just gets my blood boiling just watching it.
Yeah.
I gotta fulfill that adrenaline rush for sure.
Yeah. Dude, hey, I've said this a few times in the past, and I'm serious. I really want to make this happen, and I hope that it comes to fruition one day. But we're gonna go to the Hawaiian island of Lanai, and we're gonna kill some axis deer with a bow.
Are the axis deer the ones that with the racks are like 3 foot tall?
I hear they're some of the best eating. Yes, they have big racks.
They obviously they're not native to Lanai, Hawaii. They're from around like India, East Asia, that type, and they evolved running away from tigers. So they're like super wired and hard to kill.
To get back to your question, it's Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. I guess that's it, dude. No, South Dakota.
South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Basically, what I was asked that for was that you probably went with your friends or your family or something.
Sure.
It's like hunting isn't just. I mean, it's fun to do it by yourself. Me and Gary talk about that a lot. Or doing things by yourself just because you enjoy them. But taking your family or other people with you along with you for the journey is. Makes it an enjoyable experience too. So
It's a communal experience.
yeah, for sure.
The best memories I have is friends and families and then outdoors. That's one thing I was going to say too. Those are memories right there that can never be taken away.
It's a trophy.
Oh, for sure, man. I don't care about harvesting anything when it comes to that. That's second to everything else. It's the little things. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Spending time with family and friends is where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, this definitely segues in what I was wanting to talk about. I was just wanting to say that we grew up, me and Will grew up with Josh. We spent a lot of good times with him playing baseball and high school, just growing up, and we're glad that you came on the podcast, man.
Man, I am too. I miss y'all boys.
Yeah,
dude.
we don't get to see Josh much. He's a hard-working man. We're all hard-working men. Doing our own things, but
Hey, man, one day it'll
I'll
slow down.
I'll seriously go turkey hunting with you.
I'm serious, guys.
One morning. How early do you get up to go turkey hunting?
I get out there before daylight, man. It just depends on where he's at.
Yeah.
I
When
think
it comes
you
around,
can really get your blood boiling.
how many weeks away is it?
So 3 weeks away. I think the 8th. So it starts on a Monday. 3 weeks.
3 weeks,
3
dude.
weeks.
Shoot me a text, and if I'm able, I will go sit out in the woods with you. I have no problem with that.
Heck yeah, dude.
I look for people to go
Hey, man.
hang out in the woods
Yeah, dude.
with.
I'll go sit out there.
A spring morning is spring morning in Arkansas. Hearing all the birds singing is something special to it. especially if you got a turkey gobbling in the background.
Yeah.
Golly, I can't even
We're going
explain
to
it.
get down on my parents' land down in Choctaw.
There's a lot of birds
There's a
down
lot
there,
of
man.
Man, I've just went on little walks with my nana and
Yeah.
seen a bunch of turkeys going up there.
Man, we've been fortunate. Our turkey population has come back to the farm now. We had a tornado come through there in 2007 and just tore up all of our big oak trees and stuff along the creek and the ridge that goes down through our farm, and it kind of pushed them over, you know.
Yeah.
Where I mean, they winter on us, but during the spring, it's kind of too thick around us. They go over on the neighbor property, but
Dang neighbor.
I haven't taken a bird at the farm since 2012, and so our population's on the up and up and having good hatches, and
That's good, man.
I'm happy for that, for sure. Blessed.
Well, awesome.
Wildlife preservation right there, my friend.
You're right, dude. It all comes together.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we always like to ask, which we've only had 2 guests prior to you, but we like to ask if you had one thing that you could tell the audience, what would that be? You're on the spot.
Man,
If somebody was going to never hear you again, never hear your voice again, what was one thing that you would tell them that you'd want to stick with them?
Man, that's a tough one. I got to think for that for a second.
Okay, you can dwell on it, swish it around.
Kind of like the wine tasting.
Yeah, I mean,
Smell it. You got to smell it, swish it around, get a little sip on your tongue. You know what I mean?
I've said this before in the podcast, but set your goals and achieve them. That's the big thing. Is you can't become complacent in this life. It's going to be boring, and time's going to pass you by quicker than if you were out busy all the time. Honestly, I mean, it would drive you insane. You just got to keep on setting goals and achieving them.
yeah.
Not just yourself, but with a partner in life, your friends. I mean, you gotta have multiple goals.
Yeah, for sure. Me and Gary have talked about that before, man. Consistency.
Yeah,
You got to make goals consistently and consistently meet them.
for sure.
Consistency is key, man.
Yeah.
You gotta play the game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You've talked about that too, Gary. Goals and stuff.
when we talk about goals, a lot of people get this idea of these ambitious goals that are going to get you somewhere, which those are good goals to have. I've got some of those goals, but goals are such a broader array of things.
Sure.
One of my goals is to keep in touch with my friends that I grew up with and that I've built relationships over time.
No, I appreciate that more than you know, for sure.
And so when we say goals, a lot of people can be like, oh, you get in this goal oriented mindset and you just go, and you're just achieving. You're in the achievement. Goals don't necessarily have to be achievement. Set goals that make you happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Make you happy and push you to become better. It's like it's a balance between what kind of goals you're setting.
For sure.
So
For
yeah,
sure,
I
man.
really like that.
I like that one, dude. I like that one. I like that question too. I love how I love how when we ask that, everybody has to think about it.
Yeah.
Thought-provoking questions are good for the brain.
For sure.
No doubt.
Get you thinking, man. You gotta stay thinking too.
Yeah. Gotta keep that brain working, baby. She'll go stale on you.
Well, guys, we are going to shut it down. Josh has got to get up early. And
Yeah,
Yes,
dude.
sir.
It's 9:30 now. You gotta get up in 6 hours.
It'll be all right.
So we'll wrap it up, and you can find me on Instagram at GaryTheGreat96 and on Snapchat at Gary Gairy.
And you can find me on Instagram at Will_Pennington00 and on Twitter as The Scavenger23. You can find our podcast on Instagram at Casual Conversation Podcast, and you can find us on YouTube. Channel is Casual Conversation Podcast. Josh, you got any social medias you want to shout out?
Yeah, man, because
Dude, shout it out.
you put those
Yeah,
hunting stories.
You put pictures and stuff about hunting on
Dude, inspiring. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
okay, my Instagram. Let's see here. It's just Josh Payne 20.
So
Payne, JOSHPAYNE 20.
There we go.
Josh Payne
heck
20.
yeah, and when the hunting season comes around, just get prepared for some stories, man.
Dude.
Man, I honestly wish I shared more on here, but I try to stay off my phone best I can, you know.
Yeah,
but
I feel you.
But I do like sharing my stories on here.
Share that stuff, man.
Yeah.
I enjoy stuff like that.
I'm glad. I'm for sure. Like I said, like it says on my Instagram, you can find me outdoors. So if you want to find me somewhere, just come around Damascus. You might find me somewhere.
There you go, baby.
Well, all right.
But man, I'm glad you came on. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we have something like this where we can just have a nice conversation with our friends.
Man.
That's why me and Gary did this whole thing, was just to have some casual conversation,
Oh,
get to talking to each other, get to see some old friends that we hadn't seen in a while, and some interesting people we've never met, and just learn something. I definitely learned something today, so
I like what y'all are doing.
I'm glad you came on, brother.
I love it.
Man, that was a good episode.
Yeah, it was.
So I guess with that being said,
Gary out.
later.